Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Tuesday, the 14th of Rabi'ul Awwal, 1444, corresponding with the English date, 11th of October 2022. This Majlis took place after the Ishraaq Salat at the residence of Hazrat Wala Baitul Azkar in Wasiabad, Allahabad, UP, India. Hazrat Wala starts off by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thereafter, Hazrat Wala goes on to speak about Ja'far-e-Sadiq and the nasihat that is achieved between the discussion between the two, himself and Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. Now yesterday I spoke to you about the questioning of Hazrat Ali radiyallahu ta'ala an summoning Hazrat Hassan al-Basri when he enters the Jama Masjid in Basra, and he says to them that who has given you people the chance or the opportunity or the permission to come here and give wa'az and nasihat? Today, can anybody ask this type of question? Nobody can even ask that. Whereas today all the more people are speaking and misquoting as well. Hazrat Tanvi has written this incident, and those before him has also mentioned this incident. Nevertheless, when he asks him the question, the muallim, the teacher, was also of that caliber, and the student also was of that caliber. When it is like that, then how a person progresses. However, if there is no isti'adad and capacity and capability, you see this year that at one sheikh, two people would go. One would reach what great heights, and the other one would just be left where he started. In the khanqahs also you would notice this type of thing. Nevertheless, when Hassan al-Basri gives the answer, he mentions it is wara', it is parsai, it is piety, and this is a quality of the heart. And what is the destruction of all matters and of the deen? It is holding hopes in others aside from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tama', greed. Now how much he understood the deen and tariq and this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for him to have encapsulated everything in this one short sentence or few words of his. So when they ask for this type of nasihat, Ja'far-e-Sadiq and Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, I was quoting to you, he says the question that's asked there, what is fahm? That what is good understanding? The answer that is given, that is that a person can differentiate between that which is beneficial and that which is harmful. So he says, no, that's not actually the desired answer, rather more than that, even higher than that, or more refined. The answer is that fahm is that a person cannot only choose between beneficial and harmful, but rather above that, that a person can understand that at that particular time, which both the things are there in front of him, none of them are harmful, but which one is more deserving of to be carried out at that particular moment. A person is there, is about to read Ishraaq Salat, and at that time there, a blind man is walking and about to trip and fall over into a well. Must he carry on with his wazifas there, or must he help that person who is about to lose his life? What is awla? This type of an understanding is called the ultimate or the highest level of fahm, where a person can give preference to that which is more deserving over that which can still wait for a while. Allahu Akbar. Hazrat Tanvi was once performing salat, and when he was performing salat, he hears a bang, and he understands from that that his wife had then fallen, maybe from the step or from where she was standing or whatever it was. Now at that time, he abandons his salat, he goes inside to go and assist his wife. Now Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to quote this incident abundantly, and he would say that listen, if it was any other peer and all his murids are there and they are looking at his sincerity and his devotion in salat, at that time there, what would the majority of us do? But Hazrat Tanvi then abandoned his salat and he said that Allah is not in need of my ibadat now. But at this point in time, my wife is in need of my help. Who is going to pick her up? Who is going to help her? What could have happened? What is the situation there? Another incident that the Sahaba were with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the masjid. Fajr was performed. They were engaged in the dhikr and in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when a Sahabi passes by the masjid and he's going with his tools into the orchards to go and do his work. So then somebody remarks there that where are we and what are we doing, and where is he lost in the dunya, pursuing and chasing after the dunya? Now look at the orientation and look at what is the preference of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or what type of culture he gives to the Sahabi for him to understand it correctly. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that no, don't say that. He is engaged in fard. He is going to look for rizq and for roti for his family for the day. We are engaged in nafal. Allahu Akbar. You know, Hazrat Shah Waliullah has written from amongst the great occasions of fahm and ultimate understanding of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he gives this as an example, that on that occasion where people unsheathed their swords and they were prepared to go to war, that who will get the honor of placing the Hajarul Aswad in its place. And at that time, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam requests and calls for a sheet, and then he asks the tribal leaders, all of them, to come forth and to pick up the corners of that sheet in which the Hajar Aswad was placed. And then he says, right, now pick it up now, and I want you to take it from here and let's go to the Kaaba. And when he went to the Kaaba, he told them then as well that lift it now, continue lifting it until they lifted it to the required height. Then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam took it with his Mubarak hands and put it into place. He says that although this was before the time of Nubuwwat and prophethood was not given, but then too, at that time, you would be able to understand what a great level of understanding Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was blessed with. I'll give you another example. Hazrat Wala then goes on to quote that when the Kaaba was in its place and Islam came and some time passed, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam desired so much that that area of the Hatim be included into the Kaaba. It was part and parcel of the Kaaba, but it should be included. And at that time, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam then measured both. And then what did he opt for? We're speaking about faham. We're speaking about giving preference to awla, something which is more important at that time over something which can be left for that particular moment. What is the demand at that time? So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam abandoned his heart's desire of the Hatim being included into the Kaaba, the portion of the Kaaba, meaning building up that particular area, and he abandoned those thoughts and desires of his in the name of a great fitna will come about in the people. These people are Jadidul Ahad, Qareebul Ahad. They just accepted Islam now, and if we do this year, some great type of confusion is going to be caused. To save that type of confusion coming the way of the Ummah, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam abandoned those ideas of his and those that heart's desire of his. So, if you have 1 kilo, one bag, or one portion of knowledge, then for that one portion of knowledge, then you would need 10 portions of aql and a brain, understanding. And then Hazrat Wala thereafter goes on to say that I am saying that if you have 10 portions of aql and brain and understanding, then for that 10 portions of aql, brain and understanding, you would need 100 portions of adab. 100 portions of adab. And this is how our mashayikh achieved. Because of their adab, Allah Ta'ala lifted them, Allah promoted them, Allah gave them progress, and from where to where they reached. Now, Hazrat Maulana Ismail Saheb, he left. What are we talking about? Lucknow. Where's Lucknow? Where's Delhi? He goes walking from Lucknow right to Delhi, hundreds and hundreds of miles. And what about it? He walks from there with the horse to Delhi because I can't mount that horse. This is the horse that I'm going to present to my sheikh for the sake of jihad. So he did not mount that horse. And we're talking of Hazrat Maulana Ismail Saheb. He was elder in age and the sheikh was younger in age. Allahu Akbar. But then too, he bowed down for that nisbat, for the achievement and the attainment of that grand connection which was in the heart of the sheikh. And don't we see Hazrat Maulana Qasim Saheb, Hazrat Maulana Tanvi, Hazrat Maulana Gangohi, all of them also humble themselves for the sake of this great wealth which was in the bosom of Hazrat Haji Saheb. So Hazrat Sayyid Saheb was younger in age and Maulana Ismail Saheb was elder. Hazrat Shah Abdul Aziz even speaks about this year, writes about this year. You know the place of Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia Saheb? It is something or some place most definitely to go to, even till today. But I would tell you about Sayyid Saheb's place, which is also there. That I also go there. And Hazrat Madni also went there. And when he entered the masjid, he closed the doors of the masjid and he sat there for a long period of time so that some type of tabarrukat could have been achieved. What can we even say about these pious elders? The masjid there was built exactly in proportion, size and measurement, length, breadth, height, exactly to that of Al-Kaaba. Allahu Akbar. Allah Ta'ala bless us with the fuyuz and the barakat of these grand places which our Buzurgan-e-Deen left from. In fact, that kafla left from there for jihad. Nevertheless, one day, Hazrat Maulana Ismail Saheb, they went and they said that they actually went with the intention of taking an exam, not even asking that what will he tell us. Let's go to him and ask him to show us such a salat, the salat of the Sahaba, the salat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nevertheless, they went there and they presented and they said that Hazrat, teach us or tell us, show us the salat of the Sahaba. Now, Hazrat Shah Waliullah, people, it has even been written that Hazrat Maulana Ismail Saheb's darja was even greater than that of Hazrat Shah Waliullah. Look at his kitabs. you'll be able to understand something. Look at the kitab that's written on Mansab Imamat. Nevertheless, his words was, or his answer was as simple as this here, that, okay, oh, you want to know that? Okay, first, go. Go and make a wudu according to the sunnah. Make a wudu like how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam made that wudu. Those words just left the lips of Hazrat Sayyid Sahib, and it fell onto the ears of those who asked that question, that their hearts started trembling. It had such an effect. Nevertheless, they left and they went to go and make wudu. They made wudu, and then they kept on interrogating their nafs and themselves, asking themselves, did Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam make wudu like this? Was this the caliber of his wudu? Was this the heights? Was this the level of the wudu of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? They made wudu and made wudu again, tried to see. They repeated over and over again. Nevertheless, after that, they went as per instruction to go and read that salat like how the Sahaba and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam read that salat. They read the salat, and after making salam again in denial. No, but Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam could have never read a salat like this. The Sahaba salat was not like this. It could have never been like that. Read the salat again and read the salat again. When did they start this? It was after Isha salat. And before they knew anything, it was the adhan of Fajr. But how did they do this? When they carried on doing it, every time they finished, they kept on asking Allah for forgiveness for that salat. That this is not the salat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or the Sahaba. Or the Sahaba. So they ended their night, or they ended their morning in such a manner that they were making tawbah and istighfar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. Okay, we continue. They came back the next morning to Hazrat Sayyid Sahib. He said, Kya hua? What did you do? How did you fare? So they began weeping and crying and saying that this is how we spend our night. And then Hazrat Sayyid Sahib said to them that this year what you done was the way of the Sahaba. This is how they spent their entire night, completing their night again. In which manner and in which way? In Tawbah. In Tawbah. In Mizan-e-Munshaib, it is written that what is Islam? Islam is Gardan Nihadan Ba'ita'at, to bow down and to humble yourself in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sayyidina Rifai says, what is Islam? He says, Islam is to abandon your tabi'at and give preference to the shari'at. That at that time there, your heart and your mind and your tabi'at is saying, don't make salam to this person. Don't make salam to them. But the shari'at is saying, make salam. Carry out the salam to this person. So giving preference to the shari'at over tabi'at, that is Islam. Now Hazrat Maulana Rahmatullah Kiranwi, the author of Izharul Haq, such a kitab that was written in refutation of the Christians, and it is said that these Christians themselves said that we would have abandoned this kitab and we would have not even allowed it, if we could have helped it, to even enter into our countries. Such a kitab that has been written against us. So nevertheless, Maulana Rahmatullah and Hazrat Tanvi, there was something between the two of them. So not Hazrat Tanvi, Hazrat Haji Sahib. So Hazrat Haji Sahib said that Mauli Rahmatullah, you know what, if you have it your way, you'll even demolish the masjids and put up madrasas everywhere. Nevertheless, due to this year, some type of bitterness was there, and some 1 day, 2 day passes, and there was no talking between the two. On the third day, Maulana Rahmatullah comes and he says, Haji, listen, whatever happened, make maaf. Now look at the answer. That was from the one side, Maulana Rahmatullah. On the other side, Haji Sahib immediately answers that Maulana Rahmatullah, tum jeet gaye, that you beat me, you surpassed. I am a jahil. I did not have the tawfiq to come to you first. You and Alim, you had the tawfiq and you came to me first to remove this and to make that salam. Now, this was the deen and this was the islah of the nafs. So, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. This nafs ammara, the one who continuously encourages and stirs a person to go in the direction of sin. And then you have the next stage, the nafs lawwama, the rebuking soul, that you done something and then you keep on saying that why did you do this, how did you do that, the next level. And then a person eventually continues and he reaches the ultimate nafs mutma'inna, the contented soul. Today, a person is so proud about achieving this degree and that degree, but nobody even cares about reaching the high levels and stages of the nafs mutma'inna, the contented soul, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this nafs is actually described as the low-lying land or earth. You know, earth itself is something which is trampled upon. So much it has rectified itself, humbled itself, and this is its example, and this is how it is described. Do we even make dua for this year? Hazrat Shah Abdul Aziz, regarding him, that a bird even came and gave glad tidings, saying that he has the nafs mutma'inna. You know, these waqiyat are written. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. A person who has been pushed away, taken away from the fire and entered into Jannah, such a person has achieved success. There is no greater testimony than this testimony that Allah Ta'ala gives in this particular ayat. A Sahabi was going and he accepts Islam and he's leaving to go in jihad. He asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what will I receive for this? And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you will get Jannah. He hardly goes some few steps, a short distance, when the horse trips and falls, and he also falls. The horse loses its life and he also uses his life. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam then remarks, "Amaluhu qalil wa ajruhu kabir," that his amal was meager, small, short, concise, but his rewards are so tremendous. Hazrat Maulana Abdul Majid said to Hazrat Tanvi on one occasion that, Hazrat, Allah Ta'ala speaks so much about Jannah and Jahannam in the Quran, but the Maulvis don't speak about this much. Hazrat Tanvi then answered and he says, Baat to aise hi hai. What you're saying is absolutely correct. You know, my Abdullah's mother, she used to fear so much when we used to speak about Jahannam. She used to fear so much about the fire of Jahannam. Both of them, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib's daughter and Abdullah's mother, both the wives, were so tremendous. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite us all in Jannah. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. We continue, we'll tell you about the incident of Hazrat Sayyidina Ibrahim bin Adham, that he left all the riches and all the wealth and the throne and gold and silver, the list goes on. And what was it all about? Somebody even asked him that all this belongs to you. You left it and you went away. So he says, yes, I did. He says, but why? Why would you do that? Don't do that. He says, okay, not a problem. First, give me an answer. Tell me in which category of the two will I be that Allah speaks about in this ayah. فَرِيقٌ فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَفَرِيقٌ فِي السَّعِيرِ. One group designated and allotted to go to Jannah, and the other group designated, allotted to go to Jahannam. So the person could not answer, so he says, then leave me in my search for Allah and let me do whatever I have to do for the akhirat. Allahu Akbar. Hazrat Haji Imdadullah Sahab lived a life of simplicity, rather we can say abject poverty, faqah, faqar or faqah. On one occasion, Hazrat Maulana Rahmatullah Sahab comes to Hazrat Haji Sahab and says, Haji, you in such a condition, listen, let me go to the Sultan and let me just say something about you to him, due to which he would most definitely be impressed. And then he would call you to his palace and your condition would improve. So he says, no, please don't do that. I do not want to give preference to Baytul Sultan over Baytullah. Leave me. Allow me to spend my days in the Haram. Allahu Akbar. Nevertheless, time passes on from the progeny of Hazrat Ibrahim bin Adham. He was Faruqi, and Hazrat Haji Imdadullah was also Faruqi. These days also here you would find Faruqi. They are actually connected directly here to Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, Ibrahim bin Adham, etc. So he comes and people tell him that this is from the inheritance, and all of this here belongs or comes from generation to generation from Ibrahim bin Adham. He is your forefather and you are from amongst that family and inheritors of this. So at that time Hazrat Haji Imdadullah says, are you telling me I'm his son and I'm his family and I come from that khandan? Okay, if you are really telling me that, then what type of a true son would I be? When my forefathers abandoned this dunya and this wealth and chose that type of life, and I would go now and take that type of life and abandon the type of life that they chose to live with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this few days in this dunya. Allahu Akbar. Now look at this here, look at today. Leave alone anything else. People are usurping the money, property and inheritance of others, rather even senior people and prominent ones. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat on practicing on the deen. Halal and the nuraniyat and the barakat that comes with halal food, halal consumption is tremendous. Now all these waqiyat are mentioned in Amirul Riwayat, but who reads? Hazrat Anwi has written, now there was this lady in Deoband, simple lady. She would work, but with that earnings of hers, what would she do? She would take that money and she would call all the ulama of Deoband once a year. And what was the results of that? These same great ulama, the mashayikh of that era, their impressions was of this nature that they would say for many long days on end, they could perceive the noor of that food in their daily lives, in their standing, sitting, in their a'mal. They could perceive that noor. Allahu Akbar. Hazrat Sayyidina Abdul Quddus Gangohi says that amal salih akal tayyib par murattab hai, that if you actually want amal salih, then this year is connected and murattab, suspended to what? To akle tayyib. If only you have halal consumption, would you have the tawfiq and the hidayat of carrying out good deeds. Now the hadith also shows us that tartib, rather the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma inni as'aluka rizqan tayyiba wa ilman nafi'a wa amalan mutaqabbala. Oh Allah, I ask you for halal, wholesome rizq, beneficial knowledge and accepted actions. Now there's tartib there. Only if you have halal rizq will you have the hidayat of getting beneficial knowledge. When you have achieved beneficial knowledge, it is only then that tawfiq and hidayat from the side of Allah will come to do good deeds. So when a person humbles himself, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam made the dua, Allahumma inni as'aluka nafsan bika mutma'inna tu'minu bi liqa'ik wa tarda bi qada'ik wa taqna'u bi 'ata'ik. Oh Allah, I ask you for a nafs mutma'inna, that tu'minu bi liqa'ik, that brings iman in you, wa taqna'u bi 'ata'ik, and that is satisfied with whatever you give and pleased with whatever comes from your side. Now these things are all sought for and desired, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself made dua for all three: rizq tayyib, ilm nafi' and amal mutaqabbala. So the person loves and he achieves nafs mutma'inna, and then the call comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have reached such a high darja in status now that you no more deserve to live amongst these people. Come back to me. Come to me now. The time has arrived. Allahu Akbar. Wattaqullaha wa yu'allimukumullah. Fear Allah and Allah will teach you. If you have taqwa, then how much will you study? How much will you read? How much will you achieve? And that is in its place also. But if you fear Allah, then there is no limits. Allah will teach you. Man amila bima alima, the person who makes amal on that little that he knows, Allah will teach him that which he knew not of before. So whoever does, without exception, any person, whoever does here, tomorrow he will see it tomorrow on that side. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of making amal. I was just thinking, what will I say? In fact, rather, when I come and sit here, I come absolutely empty-minded and empty-hearted. With an empty heart and empty mind, in what sense? In the sense that I don't have anything in my heart and in my mind that I'll speak about this. And when I come here, it is because of the barakat of you people, your talab, that Allah Ta'ala then, that I then speak. Allah inspires me to say this, that, or the other. Allah Ta'ala bless us with rizq halal. Allah Ta'ala bless us with His muhabbat, and Allah make us muttabi' of the sunnat. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه